welcome and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm really excited about this video actually because this is all about my travel tips about traveling solo in South Korea. In this video, I'm also going to mention my top favorite places that I've traveled to so far in Korea and also where I really would love to go. So yeah, if you're interested in knowing about my top tips of solo traveling in Korea or even traveling in a group with your friends and where I really want to go next, then just keep on watching. Before we get into the video, I just wanted to quickly shout out the jewelry brand that I am wearing. So if you have not heard of Luisa, this is a jewelry company that makes sustainable jewelry and I absolutely love their pieces. They're stunning. The one that I'm wearing right now is actually their collab with Carrie Cakes here on YouTube, who also lives in Korea, and this piece is just, it's beautiful. It is everything. I am so in love with it. It goes with all of my outfits. It just fits my mood and my aesthetic and just me really well. And of course it's gold and I love gold jewelry, so I absolutely love this piece. If you are interested in checking out any of Ana Luisa's products, I will leave a link in the description box down below that you can check out. I also have a discount code with them, so if you are interested, you can use my code and get 10% off of all the products on their website. Thank you again to Ana Luisa for sending me such beautiful pieces. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So when it comes to solo traveling in Korea, I have definitely done a good amount of solo traveling in Korea, as you can see from the many vlogs that I post on my channel. And I've done a lot of traveling that I haven't made vlogs about, honestly, because I was just lazy and I didn't feel like filming everything, or I just really wanted to be in the moment of the trip that I was in. And I've also done quite a bit of traveling with my friends, whether it's with just one friend or a group of friends. So I've done quite a bit of traveling in Korea, so hopefully you will find my tips helpful. I have a pretty good number of tips that I hope will be able to help you. So my first and biggest tip, this is the thing that I do the most when I am looking for what I want to do or where I want to go, is I look at Instagram hashtags and Naver blogs. So when it comes to looking for things that look great for posting on Instagram, or if you want to go somewhere that's really popular, Instagram hashtags are your best bet. If you're looking for somewhere that Koreans tend to really go to, you will want to search on Instagram the hashtag of where you want to go and yoheng. So it does require you to know just a little bit of Hangul, a little bit of Korean. If you are looking for somewhere to travel, or you're looking for somewhere that is really just beautiful pictures, beautiful scenery, things like that, then you can look up the hashtag in Korean, the location that you want to go to, and then just add yoheng at the end. Yoheng means trip or vacation. For example, if I want to look at things to do in Sejong, then I would look up Sejong and then add yoheng at the end. So Sejong yoheng. Yeah, all the pictures that everyone posts about what's good to do in Sejong will pop up. You can do that for any city, any province. If you also want to look up what good places are good to eat, or cafes and things like that, then you can do the same thing. Just look up the name of the place you want to go to and then add matjip. So matjip is like tasty house, hot house. It's basically like Korean slang, like a Korean word to say like what restaurants and cafes are really popular and really cool and trendy, whatever is in. So that's how you can find amazing places that probably Koreans go to the most on Instagram. And I love using those hashtags, especially when I'm leaving Sejong and going to a really new place. I will look through those hashtags and bookmark and save the photos onto my Instagram. If you don't know what Naver is basically the Korean version of Google, I guess. In Naver you can find Naver blogs, and this is basically how Koreans blog, like Korean bloggers in a way. It's kind of like, it's not like Tumblr, but I don't know how to describe it, but it's basically a bunch of blogs that people post about their trips and their travels and their food and jewelry and different things like that. What I use Naver blog for is mainly to actually see what things look like. So sometimes people post things on Instagram, but then when you actually go to that location, it doesn't look as nice in person, or you just wish you had known more before you went. So that's why I like to check Naver blog, especially if I'm staying somewhere specific like a pension or a hanok. Then I like to read reviews on Naver blog that show more detailed pictures and photos and just tells you more information. My next tip that has to do with finding a location or just finding out where you actually want to go in Korea is using the internet. You have Facebook groups, you have YouTube, you have Google, blogs. There's so much information about what's cool and what's good to see in Korea that you don't have to, I mean, if you want to, you could just, point at a random point on the Korea map and just say, oh, okay, I'm gonna go there. You could do that if you want, or you could just look on YouTube, Korea vacation vlog, Korea weekend vlog. So many people, including myself, have made vlogs and videos and blog posts and Facebook group posts about what else you can see in Korea. And I feel like so many people think that all there is to Korea is Seoul and Busan, and that is so not true. I low-key find it really annoying, honestly. I don't know why it's annoying to me. I do get why people love Seoul and really big cities, because they're cities. You can find everything you need there, especially when you're a foreigner in Korea. Sometimes you just want the convenience of someone that speaks English, or just knowing that everything you need is in one location. And I do understand that, but I don't know, for me, when I came to Korea, I knew that I just wanted to travel. I wanted to see new things. I wanted to see everything. Like, I didn't just want to be in Seoul every single weekend. So for me, spending as many weekends as I can not in Seoul or in Busan or in a big city, I don't know, I find that exciting. I find that fun, even if I'm going by myself. There's so much more to Korea than just Seoul and Busan. I really want people to know that, even though yes, it might be in your comfort zone and it might be just really convenient all the time. I do feel like you should at least see more rural sides of Korea or not so big cities in Korea. My next tip is transportation types. So there are so many different ways that you can travel within Korea. You can travel by taxi, which probably isn't the best if you're trying to go from city to city. You can use the train. So there are many different kinds of trains. There's the bullet train, the KTX. There are much more cheaper trains. You can also take planes to any city that you want. So maybe you found a really good deal on weekend flight tickets from Seoul to Busan instead of taking the KTX, then you could totally do that. Most flights in Korea don't go over an hour. Like, you can go from Seoul to Busan in an hour. You can also use the ferry. So if you want to go to Jeju, but maybe you can't find plane tickets, you could take a ferry from Busan to Jeju. You can take a ferry from Mokpo to Jeju. You can take a ferry from different parts of the mainland and go to other islands. When I went to Koje, I took the ferry with my friend to Uedo Island, which is a botanical garden, and it was beautiful. So beautiful. 100% recommend. If you haven't seen that vlog, I will link it up above somewhere here. I don't know which direction it is. And you also have the intercity and express buses. So I think as of lately, this is probably the one method of transportation that I've been using the most. You can use the intercity bus or you can use an express bus, and they're both fine. There are different levels to the buses. Some of the buses are just really standard and some of them are really premium, high quality. You can watch TV and movies on the bus and it's like partitioned and everything, and it's really nice. There are so many different ways that you can travel within Korea comfortably and cheap. My next tip is accommodations. So typically when I am looking for somewhere to stay during a trip, usually I'm traveling solo. And when I'm traveling solo, I tend to stay in hostels or guest houses just because I personally don't care to be in a room with a bunch of other strangers, because usually most hostels will have a lock and key that you can lock your things in. But I personally don't mind it. I just need somewhere to put my head and sleep at night and then be able to get up and explore for the rest of the day. But when I'm staying with my friends in a big group, usually we'll go with an Airbnb where we have the entire place to ourselves. When I'm looking for a hostel or a guest house, I will use booking.com, and booking.com is probably the website that I use the most because you're able to find places that you don't have to pay right away. You can pay when you get there, and they also offer free cancellations. So you can book like 10 different places just to have them, and then when the time gets closer you can slowly start canceling the ones you don't want. That way you can narrow your choices down to the perfect place that you want to stay at. So booking.com is definitely the place that I book with the most. I think I'm even at like the genius level. The genius level is where they start giving you sometimes free breakfast, or they give you discounts on certain bookings. So absolutely love booking.com. And with Airbnb, usually I just book places that have the place just to us so we can freely enjoy it, because usually when I travel with my friends, I am in a large group of maybe anywhere from 4 to 8 people, so we need that entire place to ourselves. I personally would recommend that you look for locations that are close to the bus terminal or the train station, whatever mode of transportation that you're using. I also like to stay in places that are kind of central in the city, or at least have a bus stop or two near them. I don't mind taking taxis when I'm solo traveling, but sometimes taxis can add up, especially if you're traveling by yourself. At least if you're with a friend, you can split the cost between each other. But if I'm traveling by myself and I'm just taking taxis everywhere, that can get really costly. So I try as much as I can to rely on just public transportation. So when I'm looking for somewhere to stay, I like to make sure that I'm either in a central location or have a bus stop near me that has buses always constantly running. And my last tip is just to plan everything. I personally plan my trips down to the last detail. Like if I show you I'm not gonna show you my plans because they look crazy, like they look ridiculous, but if you ask any of my friends that have traveled with me, I plan everything so much to the point that I feel like I overwhelm my friends. But I personally just like to know that I have lots of options when I arrive somewhere, especially for me because I do make content on YouTube. Even though this is just for fun, I love watching vlogs when people show many different places and the view is just beautiful. Like that's what I want my vlogs to look like, and I'm glad that a lot of you enjoy the vlogs that I post. And this is how that gets done. So I look up a lot of things to do. That doesn't mean that I'm gonna do everything or I'm gonna see everything, but at least it's nice that I have all of those different options in case maybe something doesn't work out, then I have this option. If something is closed, then we can go here. I overplan, and I know that, and I'm okay with that because it works itself out. It's a balance. I try to buy my bus tickets and my train tickets in advance. As soon as I know that I want to go on a trip, the first thing I start looking for is my accommodation, just because sometimes guest house and Airbnbs go really fast in Korea, especially if you are trying to book them during a holiday like Chuseok. Everyone books these things out way in advance, so that tends to be the first thing I look for, and then I start looking for hashtags and things to do and things to eat and stuff like that. Start looking at bus routes, start looking at prices of things, because even though yes, it's nice to have a trip that has all these different things added into it, all those different little things can add up. All the cafes you go to, all the restaurants you go to, the accommodation of the place you're staying at, the bus tickets, the train tickets, it can all add up, and sometimes you don't even realize how much money you've spent. So I like to get as many prices of things as I can beforehand. I like to look at the times of things. If I'm going to a museum or if I'm going to a botanical garden, I want to know the times that they're open and closed, maybe some of their peak hours and their prices. I also like to look at the distance of how far away things are. Definitely bookmark things on your map, whether you use Kakao Map or Naver Map. Those are the two maps that people use the most in Korea. Google Maps is not really your friend in Korea. It honestly doesn't really work, so you should just download Kakao Map or Naver Map. I personally use Kakao Map, and you're able to bookmark things and put them into folders so you know this is my Seoul trip, this is for Busan, this is for Daegu. And yeah, my Kakao Map looks crazy. It has marks everywhere. And yeah, I think that's pretty much my main tips on solo traveling. I honestly love solo traveling. I am an introvert, so I do prefer solo traveling than traveling with a group, even though I love my friends, I love them to death, but I personally enjoy solo traveling because you're able to control what you're doing, you're able to control where you're going. If someone doesn't want to do something, you don't have to listen to them because it's just you doing what you want to do. Solo traveling is also a way for you to be able to self-reflect and just know what you like and what you enjoy. When I talk to my co-teachers at school and I tell them, oh, I've been to this place and this place and this place and this place, and they're like, oh, with your friends? And I tell them, no, by myself. They look at me like I'm crazy, like, you went all the way to Gangwon-do by yourself? You went to Jeju by yourself? That's so weird. I don't think that's weird. I don't have to have people around me to make me feel like, I don't know, this time or this moment is more valuable. I don't know. I feel like just enjoying time with yourself and enjoying the scenery or food or whatever you're doing by yourself is just as good as enjoying that with someone else. So I really support solo traveling. I love to tell as many people as they can to solo travel. There's nothing wrong with traveling with another person or with your friends, but I feel like everyone should solo travel at least once in their life. I guess now I could talk about where I want to visit and my top favorite places that I've been to in Korea so far. My top 3 favorite places are probably going to sound like I'm saying the same thing because it's all just the beach and water, but I absolutely love Gangwon-do. I've only been to very few places in Gangwon-do, but my favorite places in Gangwon-do that I've been to so far are Seokcho and Gangneung. I'm actually going to Gangneung again next weekend for a week for my summer vacation, so I'm so excited for that. I cannot wait to post those vlogs and show you all pictures of Gangwon-do because it is just everything. But I absolutely love the vibe of Seokcho and Gangneung. It's like a small Busan, like a smaller, they're not rural, but like just more homey and comfortable Busan. My second place that I've been to in Korea is Jeju Island, and I know everyone says Jeju. Jeju is absolutely beautiful, it's stunning. I went last year for Chuseok. I only had 2 days in Jeju, unfortunately, but I really enjoyed my 2 days a lot. I went with a tour group for both the days that I was there, and I saw so many things. There's still so many things that I haven't even seen in Jeju or that I wasn't able to do, and a lot of my friends and people that I wanted to meet in Jeju that I was unfortunately not able to meet. But absolutely, if you are in Korea, you should definitely try and go to Jeju Island. And my third place of where I really enjoyed the most in Korea is Jeju Island, which I recently went. Jeju is just beautiful. It is gorgeous. When I went to Jeju Island, it was actually during monsoon season, so my friend and I were expecting it to be pouring rain, but it didn't rain at all while we were there. It was beautiful weather, stunning. 10 out of 10, so beautiful. And the list of the places that I would love to visit in Korea. The first on my list is actually Daegu. So I've been to Daegu before. I filmed a collab with Ollie, Korean Ollie. I've been also another time when I was getting on my flight back from Jeju to the mainland. Obviously I wasn't there for that long, but I feel like I haven't really explored Daegu or like really seen the city, so I would love to go back to Daegu and just see more. I really would love to go to Mokpo and Yosu. I'm actually planning a trip to Yosu with some of my friends for later in the year, and I'm really excited about that. I also would love to see Ulsan and Gyeongju and Jeonju. There's so much in Korea. There's so much to see and do. And even though I have seen a lot of places in Korea, I still feel like I've seen nothing. Like I've barely scratched the surface. I always recommend solo traveling to as many people as I can if you have the means to do it. Not just in Korea, but anywhere in the world that you are. I feel like there's just so much value and so many things that you can learn about yourself and wherever you are just by solo traveling. And I hope that these tips were really helpful for you if you are in Korea or if you are thinking of coming to Korea and traveling. I really hope these tips are helpful to you. If I have any links that I mentioned, I will leave them down below in the description box. And yeah, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!